Hello and welcome back to Homework Hustle, the podcast for busy parents to improve their child's academic performance. I'm Shubhada, the founder of Brainology.
Hello, I'm Sheetal, the co-founder of Brainology.
And in today's episode, we are going to cover two complex topics for parents: time management and planning. So, what are the questions we'll address? Here goes. What is planning and why kids not seem to get it? Why don't children finish work in time or be ready in time for something? How to help your child understand time, planning, prioritization and sequencing of tasks. And last, what to do when your plans fail. Sheetal, I was thinking, why is there no school for parents?
That would be so wonderful.
I know.
And a brilliant startup idea.
I know. Think about it. This role of a parent, it is truly the role that you serve the most. It's your longest running profession. It needs constant upgrading.
Absolutely.
Because at every stage you feel ill-equipped. So I think there needs to be a school, but no exams.
Yes, it gets it.
Oh,
School without exam. But there should be a certification.
yes, a certification. Mr. Kumar has successfully demonstrated the necessary knowledge, skills and abilities required for the position of parent. How's that?
That sounds really impressive.
Impressive, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so back to the topic. Sheetal, we knew the assignment was to be submitted in a week's time. It's the last day and it's mayhem. How did we get here?
And while your child sleeps. So planning, Shubhda, is needed and it is a very, very intricate subject. It's complex task for kids. Planning surely is difficult for adults. That's true.
That's true.
But for kids, it's very difficult because children live in the moment. Kal kisne dekha? They cannot see the future. And when you need to do planning, you need to do a lot of backward analysis. When the children cannot see the future, backward analysis kya karenge bichare? You need to do a task analysis, determine what goes into a plan so that it's not as difficult as it could be. But the problem is that they're unable to break it down into smaller tasks and they're unable to sequence the task then correctly. And if they're not able to break down, they're not able to sequence, obviously they're not able to prioritize. They don't know what's important, right? So essentially it is complex for all of us, for the child as well as for us, more so for them.
Right.
As adults, we think about the future, but children live in the moment.
True.
They do not think about the future. Therefore, it becomes that much more challenging for them. My sympathies are with the children, right, at this point in time, not with the parent. And lastly, developmentally also, children are not expected to think about the next step. That's an inherent developmental challenge.
So that's how nature has meant it to be.
They are not going out of their way to irritate you. Inherently, they are not at that stage where they can look into the future.
Right. Okay, so that was what I was coming to, Sheetal. Where do we start? At the end of the day, it is those regular tasks, right? Our assignments and projects. There is an end date for a project and you need to perhaps do 2 or 3 things to complete that assignment. How do you get them started on the path where they're doing some of these steps independently?
Yeah, first of all, let's not expect too much too soon, and it has to go step by step. Right. Let's first describe the end goal clearly and visually,
Right.
to the child. Give an end date or time. Break the work into tasks that need to be done. So you need to do these 10 sums, or you need to finish this whole page instead of saying, do your homework. We need to describe
The end goal.
visualize it for them, create a imagery. Then we need to break it down for them. Okay, these are the 10 sums that are needed to be done. Let's do 2 each day and let's start with these 2 because they will take the longest time. So help them prioritize. Remember,
So you're doing it, or rather you're showing it to them. You're showing them how to break it down. You're also showing them how to prioritize, and you're also telling them what the end goal is like. Right. I think you're right, Sheetal. Most times we don't end up describing the end properly. We sort of just say, finish this or finish that or make sure this is submitted. Then they grapple with the finishing of it.
Correct.
Right?
Correct.
Okay. Okay, so my next question, Sheetal, what is age appropriateness of planning? What should we expect from children at different age groups?
So at every age, the challenges will be different. I always say small children, small problems, big children, big problems.
Yeah.
If I'm talking about a 2-year-old vis-a-vis a 4-year-old or a 6-year-old, their end goals are different, right?
Yeah.
For the younger kid, the end goal would be, okay, finish what is in your plate. As I said, small children, small problems, big children, big problem. Instead of just saying eat your food, because in this case, you've not defined the goal. The goal is to finish
All that is there in your plate.
what you've said is eat your food. The kid has taken one spoon and done. I've eaten. But you did not tell the child, right? So you just said eat the food, the finished. Actually, what you intended was that finish what is in your plate.
Right.
But the intent didn't come out. If I'm talking about a child who's 5 years old, I will say finish your food, then wear your shoes, then go down and play. So multiple steps. So going down to...
There's a sequence here.
There is a sequence here. So here I'm giving a sequence. In the first case, it was just this task of here and now. In the second, there is a future.
Right. After you eat, you'll also go down and play. Yeah.
And it's a sequentially defined future.
Okay.
Right? So at every age and stage of life, your goals and your successes are going to be different.
Got it. So let's say if we move on to a 9 or 10-year-old, how will this differ?
So at age 9 or 10, what we should do is tell the child, these are the tasks you need to do by today or by 7 p.m. and leave the rest to the child to be able to sequentially identify what their day will look like. This is a life skill where you're equipping the child to prioritize and to make a list for themselves. So at this point, they start taking a few decisions independently.
Okay.
As in how they want to mix and match.
So they can decide when to play or when to study.
Absolutely. You've just given them the broad framework.
Right.
But what needs to get completed remains same. How you want to do it is up.
You can take a decision.
If I'm saying your exams are going to begin in a week's time, you need to finish the portion. Give that freedom to the child. Initially, you might have to handhold setting the timetable or whatever, but then take a step back, because a life skill that the children have to learn independent. Initially, as a supervising adult, we can sit with the child, draw up the timetable. And as the child becomes proficient, then we can sit with the child and ask the child to draw up the timetable. So first, you're hand-holding, then you're guiding. And as we grow older, as the child becomes more and more confident in breaking up the task, you can have a look at it so that the child feels confident that, yes, I have done it all by myself and my supervising adult is going through it just to help me out. But if the child does not want to share because he wants to take the onus, that is also fine. You don't need to start feeling left out,
Anxious.
Yeah, anxious. FOMO nahi hona chahiye. It's important for the child to feel the onus and the responsibility and know that, okay, trial and error is also important. Meaning that when I sequence my entire day, did it actually work?
So if I went down to play before I studied, what was the outcome? Vis-a-vis, if I studied first and then went down to play, what was the outcome? Maybe I wasn't able to finish something, or maybe something worked better, something worked worse. So let them work it out.
Yes. And these small skills, this little confidence building exercise will give the child a long runway. Otherwise, the child will never be able to independently think, never be able to sequence, prioritize for themselves.
Okay, Sheetal, ready for some rapid fire?
Where's my hamper? Last time also didn't give me my hamper.
Sheetal, one day.
I refuse this rapid fire. Look at Karan Johar doling out such wonderful gifts for the friends and being cheated.
Okay, so I'm going to ask you about some of the most repeated questions that come up. Here we go. Not starting till the very last minute. The night before submission, the day before exams. We know the drill, right?
Oh, this is such a universal problem. Now, there are some late starters, and there may be those who thrive under stress. Do we really want to test that theory? No. So, if the child has started at the last minute and is fretting that the work is not finished, first of all, this is not the time to say, look, I told you so.
Oh my God, Sheetal, you have just taken away the one satisfaction that we get out of being a parent. Here I was taking it as a parenting right, being able to say, I told you so. This is not good. This is not good.
See, as it is, the child is jittery, then is nervous that I'm going to get punished in class, I'm going to lose marks. And upar se you're going ahead and saying, I told you so. So this is not the time. You can help, you can support the child. Say that, look, I have your back, let's finish it. बाद में सोचेंगे कि where have we gone wrong? But at that point in time, give the child that confidence that I'm there for you. After the task is over, maybe the next year, whatever, let's sit down and analyze that if we had been a little proactive, do you think it would have helped? We wouldn't have lost sleep. We could have slept on time. Maybe the project would have looked better. The mindfulness and consciousness has to be generated
In the child.
Yeah.
It has to be the child.
You cannot open up the child's mind and fill mindfulness. It doesn't work like that. Karne do na galti. Why are we being so proactive?
Okay. Okay. Being overconfident about how much time they need to finish.
This generally happens. As a parent, as a mother, I have learned that using a stopwatch really helps.
And then?
Timing the child on his or her own task is very important. Record the time when you began and the time that you ended. It becomes a race within the child. And the child rather race with himself or herself than with the world.
Tangibilize the time.
That's the next step. So that way the child will be able to gauge how much time he or she requires to complete something.
Okay, this is my favorite. Wasting time doing low priority things, such as this assignment has to start, but first we are hunting for the notebook and then the pencil, then another 20 minutes to sharpen the pencil. Et voila, it's 10 p.m.
You're done. Now mom will sit and make my project. So again, when they're getting into a project or when they have to do something, the gestation period. When I say gestation period, that means collecting all your items need to be identified. If I break it up, there has to be a pre-preparation time and then actually doing the task. So help the child identify the pre-preparation.
So when they do the breakdown of task, the preparation is also a task.
Yes.
Right. Okay. Okay. So my next one, Sheetal. Why are we always late for the school bus? And while we know that, yes, some folks are built like that, but it is stressful as a parent. And therefore, what can we do here?
Don't palpitate. So my first input in this time is not tangible for kids. They do not understand time as in 6:15, 6:20, 7 o'clock. They don't understand as very little.
It's not something they perceive in small kids.
In the way it is for us adults, by the clock. Whether it is 6, whether it is 10, it's 6:20, it doesn't matter to the child. What they actually can perceive is events. So breakfast or time to catch the bus. So this is something you have to understand before you teach them how to work within a time range.
Okay.
Got it? So I've not been able to board the bus today because I spent extra 5 minutes under the shower. What is the outcome? I missed my bus and somebody had to go and drop me. If the child has not kept to the time, skipping one activity makes more sense than skipping the end goal. The end goal was boarding the bus, right? So let the sacrifice be maybe the breakfast, which at times it might not come across as a sacrifice because children are a little grumpy when it comes to eating. Right? So it's better to let go of an activity than the end goal.
So they know that this is non-negotiable.
Yes. And also what happens is being a parent, hi mera bachcha bhuka jayega, so that sometimes you have to take those harsh decisions for the child to understand.
Those feelings go, yeah. Okay, so now to my last question, Sheetal. What do we do when these plans fail? Sheetal, when I'm hearing you speak, I see this topic as a very, very long-term engagement, a very long-term skill-building subject matter. You have to be constantly at it and you are going to encounter failure repeatedly. So what should be our approach here?
Sound cliched, but that's the hard fact of life. There are no shortcuts to success. Stay at it. Sustenance is very, very important. As an adult, getting frustrated and saying, leave it, I will do it for you.
It's not happening.
No, the child will never learn. Having the patience, sometimes one does lose patience, and that's okay. But at the end of the day, don't allow your frustration and irritation to take away from the child's success. Let the onus still be on the child. It belongs to them. As far as possible, do not do the work that is meant to be done by the child. If you do it, then it's the easiest way, no? And very many times during project time, I have seen parents who come and say that my child forgot to do, so I sat down and did their project. Was there any learning for the child in that?
So empower, not protect.
Yeah, we need to empower our children.
Okay, Sheetal. So that was quite an in-depth session as always. Thank you. Parents, if you like this episode, be sure to subscribe to this channel so that you are notified when a new episode is posted. You can also visit our website, brinology.com, that is brainologi.com, to see the kind of learning books we have for your child. You can also follow us on our Instagram handle, brinology1. It is a highly useful but chilled out space for busy parents. Goodbye, until next time.